Hello, chroeso nôl. Welcome back to Fearless in Devotion, the podcast all about Wrexham, sponsored by the Fat Boar Bar and Restaurant, and of course the wider Fat Boar Group. And if you don't just like us in your ears, please do remember what we write can appear on your screens as well. And Andy will tell you how that happens. It's in the form of a newsletter, isn't it? Which is a modern invention. Andy, how can people sign up for this Fearless in Devotion newsletter, and what is in it?
Right, is that coming up?
That's coming up.
Oh wow, look at that! The system works. Yeah, it's newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday. It's about 2,500 words. We go through the week. We have a bit of talking points. There's polls. There's a bit of asides. There's some humour. Note jokes may not be funny, but there's a few things we can say in the newsletter that we wouldn't say on the podcast. So yeah, it's about £40 for a yearly subscription, which is weekly. That's less than I don't know, what can you get for about 85p now? Can you get a chocolate bar?
You can, yeah.
Is it a good
but
one?
not
Is
in
it
all.
Freddo?
It has to be all on offer. You can get a Whisper, but it would have to be as part of some kind of 2-for-1 deal, or you wouldn't get it from a corner shop. It would have to be from a supermarket, a conglomerate.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anyway, yeah, go and get it. Tag on here. Also, if you want the fanzines, which we've still got a couple of, we've got issues 4, 5, and 6, which you can have, and they're free of charge.
We'll pay you to have them.
Well, let's not go that far. What we'll do is we'll send them to you for nothing, but you'll just have to pay the postage, whether it be UK or further afield. And it tells a story of how we got out of non-league, and there's like interviews with Ryan and Rob and stuff, and also top trumps. Remember those? We did cop trumps. We did like little sort of. See if I've got one here actually. Yeah, so I'm going to show you this in the middle here. So that is a little game that we call cop trumps, and if you get 4, 5, and 6, you can snip all those together, laminate them, and play your own little game.
Sell them on eBay for a fortune.
Please get in touch if you actually did that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell us about your Christmas top trumps that you played with our cop trumps. But yes, do sign up. That sounds good, Andy. Maybe I will sign up. Actually, I was slagging it off last week. Fearless in Devotion apologists. What are fans of the podcast? Maybe devotees makes sense, doesn't it? As we're fearless in devotion.
Yeah. Fiddlers.
Fiddlers. Fiddlers is better. Fiddlers will know that our next live event is coming up soon. And Andy, you got some red hot juicy details of who we're going to have there, when it is, what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say when it is probably the new part of the information. It's always been January the 24th, Friday, January the 24th, which is now the day after the Birmingham game rather than the day before it. Now, we've got a guest of honour. If you think of Mr. Wrexham FC, you can't look further than Brian Flynn, who played for us, played for Wales, managed us for a golden period. He's going to be there. We've also got Mark Crichton's going to come over as well. So we're starting to get our panels together. So it's sold out, but I'm sure we might be able to get a few extra tickets to go on sale just before the big event. Are you going to grace us with your presence, Reese?
Negotiations are ongoing, and I am I'm very, very keen to come, and I think it's positive. So, what other reason, to get those last tickets?
If you want to do a letter writing campaign to Reese's wife, then we will do the address on that. Also, if you want the fanzine, it's andrewgilpin@hotmail.com.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought you guys always jump in with that. What? Yeah, you love giving my email address away. It's like your favorite thing.
Nonsense.
Yes, if you would like to write to my wife, I make her sound awful. She's good as gold, to be fair. I'm away with work for a week, the week before. So it's a tough sell at the moment, but I'm a good salesman. So let's see. Back on the pitch, gents, it was a very mixed week for us, with a loss at Barnsley, no goals scored, and then not another dour affair, because the Barnsley game we played quite well, but then the game we didn't play very well in, we scored right at the end. Steven Fletcher, Tim, I mean, how many is that in a row now where he's pulled us out of a hole?
A lot. I think our soon-to-be guest, I think he's either eclipsed him or equaled him for scoring 4 in 4 league games in a row. Is it four home league
He's
games in a
equalled
row?
the record of most goals from the bench as well. So he's equal with Steve Buxton on 7 now.
I mean, you know, Steven Fletcher knows his place in the squad. He said that he's not a starter unless he absolutely has to be. Obviously, brought him on at half time at Barnsley because it wasn't working with Palmer. So he knows his role and he does it really effectively. And this bone of contention, which it's wrangled me more often than not this week about people saying, yeah, but it was a sketchy win, or yeah, we didn't play well and we didn't deserve to. Yeah, but we played really well at Barnsley and got nothing, right? And we didn't play that great, and we probably couldn't have grumbled at a draw yesterday, and we won it. So all this stuff of style over substance, it's never sat well with me. To me, it's always been about moments in games. I would quite happily play rubbish for 86 minutes or wherever it was, and have a moment like Fletcher, which was a picture perfect headed goal, best header of the ball I've seen since Carl Connolly, probably, in terms of his timing of his jumps. To generate the power, spin, and direction on that header, not many people can do that. I'm telling you, not at our level, not many people can do it for sure. So, yeah, you live for those moments, and I think we can play pretty football, this, that, and the other. But if you come away with nothing from it, as we did at Barnsley, you just left feeling deflated. So to win in the manner we won yesterday, and Wickham conceded a 95th minute penalty as opposed to scoring one in the 90th minute for a change. We're level peg in second place, hot on the heels. 2 massive league games coming up next on the Thursday nights. Love it. I'm delighted for Fletcher because it's just what he does, isn't it? It's just what he does. And people can say we were shite or we were bullies or we didn't deserve it. Thanks for the 6 points, Peterborough, without a goal conceded.
Yeah, not a bad return against them. What about the man who put the cross in? Ollie Rathbone, Liam. He was class again, wasn't he?
He's an absolutely wonderful pain in the arse. Just the way, a player gets the ball in space for Peterborough, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you saw it so many times. Ollie Rathbone just appears out of nowhere, puts a really good tackle in as well. I think his tackling is arguably better than Dobson's, because as we saw yesterday, shortly after he came on, he picked up a yellow card, whereas I find Rathbone's are always. He's just such a dogged and determined player to come up with that cross so late on, when I'll be honest, some of us in the stands had given up hope of getting out of that game, but our players just don't seem to do that. And the celebrations between Rathbone and Fletcher down in the corner where we were so passionate as well. So I've got nothing but love for Rathbone. I think early in the season he came with quite a big price tag. People weren't really sure what he was about, but I think over these last few weeks we've really seen the best of him. And yeah, fingers crossed it can continue, because I think you've got a player there who can play in the Championship if, fingers crossed, we did get there. So lots of love from Molly Rathbone here.
Andy, as someone who thinks that James McLean is a poor player, really overrated, don't like him, you must have been quite pleased that we had Mendy and Revan starting yesterday.
Well, I was surprised he changed both. I really was. Is Barney injured? He must be.
Hip injury.
I can't imagine he wouldn't even be on the bench. Yeah, I was surprised he changed both. I think it was good that McLean got a rest, because he has played a lot. And let's not forget, he's fit as a fiddle, but he is 35, going on for 36. And every now and again, you do need to pull him out the firing line. And that was shown because he came on and actually made a difference towards the end with just his energy. I'll be honest, I didn't think Revan had a brilliant game. I do think it's hard to come straight into the team and know exactly what your place is, what you can do, what you need, how you need to cover others, and how much you can go on the attack. So yeah, I think he struggled a little bit, but I do think he probably might have another game against Port Vale. And then I think you'll start to really see it. We bought potential there. We bought potential with Revan, and we know that. Mendy, I thought he was fine. I thought he did all right. I thought he took on his man a few times. Again, he hasn't played much, so it's going to take a while for him to sort of get into the groove. But I don't think he let anyone down, and I think they've underlined themselves as firm second choice wing backs, and we don't need to go into the market in that place unless we get some injuries. So yeah, not amazing, but didn't let anyone down.
Tim, with us was the Okonkwo song, your Okonkwo song being sung in the tech end yesterday?
It wasn't, but whilst on that, I met some wonderful couple from Colorado in the Fat Boy this afternoon, Kelly and Charles, and Kelly was telling me how wonderful she thought the Book of Okonkwo was. So I was like, thanks very much.
Jet lag will do that to you.
No, they've been there for a
Kelly's
few
no
days now.
friend of this podcast.
She's like, you should bring it back. I was like, maybe I should bring it back, and every time he clean sheet. Well, we'll figure out something. But yeah, it was great to see him back, and he just kind of like throws this wonderful comfort blanket over the defense. You know, it's just, I mean, again, it's not any shade thrown to Howard, but one's coming to the very end of his career, one's starting his, and you can see the difference in terms of what they bring. Even though Arthur's distribution was a bit sketchy yesterday, there's a couple of times everybody was just, the crowd were just frustrated, just looking for the quick release. But if your wing backs aren't in those positions to release it to, you've got to retain that ball. And there's a couple of times I still get hearts in mouths where they play it out from the back. You just wonder, are we going to get away with it? How many times do we see it on highlights of the games where people are getting caught out all the time and conceding goals? So, but yeah, great to see him back. And I don't think he had a lot to do from what I can remember. There's one bit he kind of caught the ball on the line where the guy didn't make a very good connection in the first half. But beyond that, didn't really have to do much. Just came for everything that he had to do. And that was that. It's just good to see him back in, probably way ahead of schedule, has to be said. But yeah, delighted to have him back.
It's good that he comes for stuff. That makes me feel more confident, and I'm sure that sort of resonates to the back line as well. I mean, Howard's a decent keeper, but he hasn't got the physical stature of Arthur.
He hasn't got the pace either, and that's, again, it's not throwing shade, but there was a couple of occasions where I think they tried to sort of wing a couple of long balls over, and it kind of caught behind Napping, and he was straight off his line to sort of narrow down the angle and gather the ball cleanly. And the guy said to me behind me, said Howard would have still be on his line, which is probably a tad unfair, but you know, everybody, you know, goalkeepers differently in their own way, and it's just great to have him back. There's something reassuring about him being there for sure.
Any other standouts in the game yesterday, Liam? Any thoughts? I mean, it was pretty drab, wasn't it? I suppose the main takeaway is that we can still churn out results when we don't play very well.
Yeah, I wasn't quite as euphoric as I've been in the past with the late winner, just because I was saying to people before the game, I just wanted, for once, you know, to get back to that thing at home of just a nice, comfortable win, and we made hard work of it. But I guess after the match, reflecting on it on a bit, if you can play poorly and win, then can you complain too much? Probably not. Standout players wise, I thought Rathbone man the match was probably about right. Owen O'Connell, after a really tough game against Barnsley, where he made a couple of mistakes, did what he's done so many times and came back with one of his better performances, I thought. Arthur, solid in goal. The one real chance they had, like Tim mentioned, went straight at him. And other than that, I thought Mendy was probably the better of the two wing backs that played. I thought Revan was slightly lightweight at times, sort of livened up second half when he cut in on his left. Sort of came close to scoring. So yeah, not a classic, but I just hope that we can make those additions now in January. The sort of, as we'd refer to them, the Scott Green signing, referring to a previous January transfer signing that made a massive difference for us. So we'll see if those come through.
Do you think Mendy was a little bit apprehensive at times? I just thought there was a couple of occasions you think, just back yourself. You know, you've got the pace.
That comes through playing, mate. That comes through playing. I think when you've played a few games, you trust. You know that your body's going to do it. You know you've got that turn of speed. At the moment, when you just come in for a game, you just don't want to let anyone down. You just don't want to be caught out.
No, that's what you say.
Look, the other thing we do need to mention, and we probably will go into this in more detail, is Mullin and Palmer increasingly don't look much of a goal threat. They work hard. They try and, you know, we keep saying that Palmer grinds down the defense and sort of gets them ready for a Fletcher onslaught. You know, that's fine if you don't concede, but there will be games where we do concede. And so it doesn't work as well. We do need our starting strikers to have a genuine goal threat. And I'm sure Andy will come in Andy Morrell will come in later and talk more about this. But I do think that is a worry at the moment.
I'll ask Mozza this, but I'll ask you it as well. Forgive me if I mentioned it last week or not. But just as an example, in that game yesterday where the defender slipped and Palmer raced through.
Yeah.
Now, with respect to Palmer, he's not fast, is he? So if we got a quick striker there, they're herring down on goal, they're forcing the shot rather than being forced wide, which is what the case with Palmer. When was the last time we had a genuinely quick striker?
Louis Moult was pretty quick.
I'm thinking
Injury
at a push. Jake Spate was pretty quick, but I know they cost you money, but we're now in a position where we're able to seek somebody who has pace.
I don't know if you'd call him a sort of out and out pacey striker, but I actually watching Mo Farl a bit yesterday. He's not a slow lad exactly, is he?
No.
And he can cause problems, and I think it comes down to, are we sure if he's the man for today? Probably not this season's standout. I don't think he's going to be, but I can see he's got elements of that, and the more he plays, the more game time he gets. I think he can be a decent player for us, but it's just, what do we need right now? I think is probably what we're all thinking, isn't it?
I think the other thing with Palmer is, yes, it's the lack of speed there, but also, I don't know, he doesn't seem to have a lot of power in his shots at the moment. I don't know if he's labouring to get himself into good positions, and then just hasn't got the sort of...
Hasn't got the time to pull the trigger as much time as he would have done, maybe. He's forced into the...
I'm preempting what we're going to talk. I just think if you talk about that match, you can't not mention the front two.
No, we'll talk about it. As we've mentioned, we've got Andy Morrell coming on, and we are going to talk through our striking options and where our limitations are, as well as our strengths and what we can do about it. Let's talk Fergie, though, both senior and junior. Good to see Sir Alex at the racecourse ground, as was, of course, Darren, his son, manager of Peterborough. And actually, we had a comment on the YouTube last week from Cae Ras 1864, who picked up on what you
mentioned. Is this your comment of the week?
It's not. No. Wait for that. We're in a good time. It says the only time Fergie has been to the racecourse with Peterborough was during our Brian Little relegation season in 2008, when they unsurprisingly won 2-0. They had the likes of Craig McHale-Smith, Aaron McLean, Dean Keats, Chris Westwood, and Craig Morgan. We had Richard Hope, Stuart Nicholson, and Drew Broughton. This time it will be Drew Barrymore. This time it will be very different. Obviously, this was pre-game. I'm not sure it was that different to us, but still, we won the game. He was complimentary about us before the game, wasn't he, Liam?
Yeah. Fergie was saying, talking about it. Fergie Jr. was talking about his great memories from his time at Wrexham. Sort of reminiscing in his interviews about the likes of Joey, and I think it was a shame actually that he got picked up a sort of pitchside ban before the game, because I thought he would have got a lot better of a reception than he did. Not that he got a negative one, but just that chance to see him on the touchline and give him a bit of an ovation for what he did at Wrexham. Because as far as players within living memory go, I think Darren Ferguson's one of the best we can all remember. I thought it was a bit cheating, though, to have his dad behind him. You had Barry Fry there. You had Sir Alex Ferguson there. So 3 managers. Is that in the rule book? Is that allowed?
Do you reckon that Sir Alex sort of said, Darren, why didn't you switch him there and put him there? Or do you think he just sort of thinks, nah, I can't meddle with this at all. This is Darren's team.
In the cartoons, you get like a little angel, a little devil on your shoulder. You probably got Ferguson going, tell him that, and you got fucking Barry Fry going, fucking hell, Fergie, get into him. It'd just be like that. It'd just be chaos. No one did that.
I don't know. Would you want your dad, especially, would you want your dad behind you as well, whispering in your ear? I don't know how I feel about it. I was assuming he'd like sit as far away from him as possible.
It seems shite.
I mean, if you're Sir Alex, you don't get involved in that unless Darren asks you something. I think. Otherwise, you're not going to be sort of tapping him on the shoulder, going, "I'm not sure that he's positioned right" or anything like that. Are you?
That was prime Parky ball at its finest on his 1000th game yesterday, and I'm all here for it.
Reece.
It's been so long. Oh God, I didn't. People listening and not watching, I forgot to unmute myself. Let's talk about Barnsley really quickly. Tim, you were there. It was a really, really good performance, particularly the second half, wasn't it? It's just lack of
Yeah, I kind of feel like we've become a second half team almost. We just don't seem to get out of the traps in recent games. It just takes us a bit of time to warm up and get clicking through the gears. But yeah, I mean, we needed a second half performance because all hope looked a little bit lost. We started really well, and then Davis Keeler-Dunn scores a pearler, really, that he should have been closed down for. And the second goal, we know it's a comedy of errors. Owen O'Connell kind of at the heart of all that. Very uncharacteristic for him, but it's just a mess. It's just a calamitous, horrible chain of events. Even after the mistake, just watching it back, it's terrible. Great finish, but it's a terrible goal to gift. And then Onslaught, that's as good as we played in the second half away from home in ages. It was just through the kitchen sink over and over and over. And you could see Barnsley just regress, thinking we're going to have to put up with this and hopefully try and counter on the break, But yeah, how we didn't score. Goalkeeper led a bit of a charmed life, but, lacked a bit of cutting edge again, and it kind of cost us, but it wasn't for the want of trying. And that's what we want, but we need that from the get-go. We need it. It wasn't as if they had a cauldron of noise trying to silence it. It was a very weird, hungover, subdued atmosphere that day. And yeah, coming out of traps is always beneficial, isn't it? And just a really good second half performance. But yeah, felt a bit deflated leaving there, to be honest.
Reece, sorry, that sort of reminds me of what I said earlier about the grinding. You get Mullin and Palmer to grind the defence down. That is fine as long as you don't concede. If you're 2-0 down, it's harder and harder to get that back. And I think that's why we really must address genuine goal threat. Were you just laughing at Grinder then, Liam?
Might have been. Yeah.
Andy, can I ask you just quickly? Did you enjoy your day out though? Because you were looking forward to going to Barnsley.
I did. Yeah, I met some my Barnsley mates up there. Never been to Oakwell.
Barnsley Bob.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that.
Sorry.
Who are your Barnsley mates?
Yeah, sorry.
Have you got friends in every town in the UK?
Yeah, I'm like a sailor.
There's his dad, Barnsley Bill.
A pirate with whores in every port.
Now, Speedy Matt, because he's always late, and Lee Gaddis. We do have a nickname for Lee, but I'm going to tell you what that is.
Okay, yeah, well, glad you had a good day out, Andy. It's a good ground, isn't it?
And I met new Barnsley friends, Dan Weaver's Barnsley friends. So I've got like a absolute
Dan Weaver.
He's right. Oh, what London Reds?
London Reds. He held it down for us at the London event. Bless him.
Yeah.
Right. I don't go to London, do I? So
I forgot.
Backstabbing Central. Right, quickly. It's nice to have 10 days off before the next league game. Very quickly, Liam. Who do you think needs to get fit the most? Who do we need, and who's going to benefit from this break?
Well, I think for me yesterday, the fact that James McLean was on the bench, I thought when he came on, it gave us a lot more impetus. So I want to see him back starting and fresh. Just trying to think who else players-wise we've got.
Barnett.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. If we're going to go crucial ones, I'd say Brunt's been really important for us. Barney is still one of our main attacking outlets. So let's go with those three. I'm not too greedy, just those three.
Tim, did you have a name you wanted to throw in the hat?
No, Brunt, Barnett, and Lee for me, because even though Lee, you can argue he's been up and down, but we miss what he can do, which is just picking up from the scraps on the edge of the box and getting some shots away. We've offered nothing really from 18 yards or so. So just want to force the keeper's hand and then get somebody in on the end of it. And Brunt's come back in just to steady the ship, even to give a little bit of a backup to Max, who's kind of been a little bit shaky by his own standards in recent games. But again, very, very minimal criticism at best. But I think this period now has come at the right time for us. It's come at the right time. People can say that having that length of time off is going to reduce the momentum, but we will have as good a team as we could possibly put out for that Birmingham game and the Shrewsbury game.
We don't feel like a team with momentum at the moment. We feel like a team that is just getting to the end of the Christmas break, and now it'd be nice to have a little bit of a reset, won't it? Parky, have the boys together for a week or two. But anyway, it's time for everyone's favorite feature, YouTube, if you want to. This week's top comment is from Mad Al 87, who is. Do you?
Yeah, lovely bloke. Lovely bloke, Mad Al. He's done some great drawings of of Gilpin and me. I'm not sure if we've done Liam or you yet, but I'll ask him to.
Less said about that, the better.
We can't show Andy's.
No, okay. Madal says he's giving the great Mark Griffiths a run for his money here. He says Lot Jones was our oldest scorer. Bobby Roberts was our oldest player. He was our manager that came in as our keeper got injured. Bert Good is the second oldest, and then Andy Morrell is the third. And Andy Morrell is the oldest Wrexham player to ever score a hat trick. Which is
What's he get for
that? He gets what does Madal get?
Yeah.
He gets to be my YouTube comment of the week. Which
I'll buy him a pint next time at the Myers Gwyn. Just tell him to remind me.
Okay, Madal, remind him to buy you a pint next time he sees you at the Myers Gwyn. Now it's time for everyone's second favourite feature, which is the Randall Roundup. Now, we talked about the lack of theme tune, and John Parry on YouTube says, pity one of you is not called Hopkirk, then Randall's Roundup could have the soundtrack from the TV serial. Now, I had to look that up, and there was a programme called Randall and Hopkirk.
Deceased.
Yeah. And the theme tune is actually superb. So I'll have a word with the editor and see if we can get that in as the new theme tune. So 3, 2, 1, take it away, Liam.
Right, well, let's get on straight into the juicy stuff to start out with this week. There's been a bit of a ticketing palaver, would we call it, whereby shortly after Christmas, the club announced that tickets for the remaining games this season would be released in clusters of 3, starting with our 3 upcoming home games, including the Birmingham City match. A lot of people have been quite unhappy with this. I think probably the main issues have been the short notice that was given to people and the fact that a cluster of 3 tickets, which I think adults are roughly £23, £22 these days, going on sale at the same time is going to set you back. Then if you add on top of that, say you've got a family of 4, you're talking well into 3 figures. So I think that's probably the main reason why that one has caused a bit of kickback. The club hasn't provided too much of an explanation on the rationale, apart to say it's to streamline its ticketing systems. But I think maybe on this one, the big issue is just the fact that it hasn't been communicated very well. I mean, if you know about the next cluster of 3 games is going to do the same, you've at least got time to prepare for it. But I think for the recent 3 games, it was just a bit of a short notice call just after Christmas. Don't know what anyone else's thoughts are on that one.
I think, the club are probably thinking, games aren't sellouts anymore. And, there's you've got time to maybe sort Birmingham in this sort of week and then still come back and pick up some more. The problem is people don't know that. People just think Wrexham tickets got to get them. It just creates a stressful couple of hours where you're trying to transfer money, get enough cash in, and then try and get 3 lots of tickets in one go. We all know how difficult that Ticketmaster system is, how many times it sort of loses tickets and things like that. So, it's not perfect if you're asking people who are desperate to go to these matches to try and get 3 lots of tickets in one sitting, in one morning.
Why have they not explored the idea of half-season tickets again and Kleiner it 3 installments? Everybody's happy then. It spreads the cost, doesn't it? Why is that? Why is that not?
We used to do that under the trust, didn't we? Half season.
I just think that, if you're asking for a shitload of money off people straight after Christmas, give them a bit more of an incentive than just 3 games. Here's a half-season ticket, and you can pay over 3-4 months or whatever. Make it easy on people. Don't just suddenly go, give us all your money January. Come on.
Yeah, no one's really got much hanging around, I don't think, after Christmas. Yeah, I'll keep it relatively short and concise because we've been joined by our glamorous guest. So on the transfer front, the latest player that we've been linked with is Ryan Hardy from Plymouth. Supposedly a £2 million move, if that's to be believed. He's not really got on the score sheet much for Plymouth this season, but the team as a whole is struggling. Did hit double figures in the Championship last season, so another one to keep an eye on. But I still haven't seen too many rumours that I'm really thinking A, have that much excitement about them, but B, seem that credible. I mean, do we think we're going to be paying £2 million for Ryan Hardy? Andy is shaking his head vigorously.
I agree with Andy.
I think if you're going to spend £2 million on someone, You want a bit of resale on him. I'm not really sure Ryan Hardy's going to.
There's only one Hardy at Wrexham, and his name is Philip. That's all that matters.
Well, I think Wonderboy's still on the Algarve without any signal, because I've not really heard any rumours about him. I'm getting a bit concerned about him, to be honest. You know, he's very slack these days. Sort of moving on to other off-pitch matters. There was a small update from the WST over the Racecourse Stadium lease over just before Christmas, and that was to say that essentially the ball is still in the club's park, but they're waiting until they've gone through the whole process with Populous to see if any changes are going to be made to the COP. I would say that in terms of spades in the ground in the summer and getting it ready for the UEFA under-19s, it's probably leaving it quite late. But I'm reliably informed there might be some news over the next couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens on that front.
And that was the week that was with the Randall Roundup. Time now to welcome our special guest, club legend Andy Morrell. Mozza, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. My voice is a bit croaky, but I'm back at it at the moment, yeah.
Glad to hear you better. I should say as well, actually, to viewers and listeners, Polly Palladio is not available again because his voice still hasn't recovered from karaoke with you boys last week. So it's been 8 days now. So we're hoping he'll have recovered by next week.
No, it feels.
Andy, we're sort of halfway through, nearly, roughly. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fairly simple. I think it's far exceeded where where I expected us to be come this time in the summer. You know, I didn't think that we would be anywhere near second, third place and really pushing. What a great opportunity it is to go and kick on now and really push for those, I think, the top two to get out of the league. Put us in a really strong position, and I think January is going to be quite key to where we sort of potentially end up.
Andy, as you will know, is obsessed with strikers. He thinks we should sign 4 in January.
I said 2. I said 2.
Sorry,
I like a nice round 10 at the club.
And he has some questions for you about the strikers we have and what you think we need to change.
So basically, I just wouldn't mind your sort of opinion on how our sort of strikers have done this season, and probably might just do it sort of player by player. Starting probably with Ollie Palmer, who I don't think any of us expected him to play as many games as he has this season. And by and large, he hasn't let anyone down. I just feel over the last couple of weeks, the games have come so thick and fast for him. He does look a little leggy. I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on Palmer's sort of contribution this season? It's not really been goals, but he has been vital in other ways.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think anybody would have expected him to have. I think he started the most games out of any player, which is incredible to considering where he was at the start of the season, really, and where we thought he might be in the pecking order. But he's to be fair to him, he's really stepped on. I think his fitness. I think he looks really fit. He looks a lot fitter than he was last season, and I thought he was a lot hungrier and probably had a point to prove really in the summer about playing in the team, because a lot of people had written him off. I think Parky loves him purely off the back of he's great in both boxes and he does exactly what he's in the team to do. He'll go back. He's the free man on set pieces against, and he wins so many headers in our own box. I think that's a huge plus for why he plays ahead of any of the others. He gives us that, and he gives us a platform, a bit of a battering ram for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and then he can go on, and Fletcher can come on, or the subs can come on and really make a difference, and he sets a platform for us. And I think he's done great. I think he should have scored more goals, and I think he'd be desperate to score more goals, and we need him to score more goals, because you can't have a front man really in your team, as good as he's been in both boxes, that has only got 3-4 goals playing 25 games. Do you know what I mean? So I think he'll be looking to improve his goals tally, but he's certainly doing a job for the team.
I'm going to take you to the name that is said and sung quite a bit. Super Paul Mullin, not so super this season, and I'm going to caveat that. I mean, he's missed a pre-season. That's
Yeah.
two in a row he's missed. He's
Yeah.
desperate to come to League One and really prove himself, because it was the level he nearly got to with Cambridge. But now, a couple of years later, he's come with us. I mean, I still see flashes of the brilliance there.
Yeah.
He can still really occupy a defence. But again, with Ollie Palmer, and I said this to the lads earlier, there didn't seem to be a huge goal threat from Wrexham for the first 60, 70 minutes. Is it a worry? I know probably if you're looking where he was last season, this is the sort of time he really stepped up.
Yeah.
Can you still see him doing that this season? Or do you have any more sort of worries that maybe twice in a row you can't always just pick it back up and finish the season so strong?
Yeah, well, we've all been talking about he needed a goal, and then he hits one, which is a joke of a goal off his left foot, and you think, off he goes, here we go. And then I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be happening for him. He seems to be playing quite a distance away from Palmer. They don't seem to be in quite cahoots as they have been in previous seasons. I saw him get chucked into a barrier at Barnsley, and his reaction to that, he was angry, he was annoyed. And he come on, and I seen him run hard, like harder than he's ran, in my opinion, before. He looked really annoyed, and so he was a threat, running in behind. He was putting himself about, and he just looked a bit pissed off. Do you know what I mean? Because the decision hadn't gone for him or whatever. That's the Mullin we know and love. That's the one that we like. Puts himself about, gets stuck in, and really gives the defence a problem. And I thought for that half an hour, I thought, blimey, he's back. Here we go. He's back. And then you just don't see the same one again in the next game. And you're like, I don't know what it is, whether it is a bit of confidence at this level or what, but he can score. He scores brilliant goals, and he scores a lot of them. And so we're just fingers crossed that it does happen for him again, and he comes good, and he starts scoring more regularly, not just really cool, really good goals.
Is it fitness, Andy? Do you look at him and you think, I don't think he's not 100% fit?
It can't be fitness by now. You've got that. If you've got 4 months under your belt of full-time training, which he's had, and he's had periods where he's done extra, hasn't he? When he's been not in the team, he's been doing extra and away from the pitch and stuff. It can't be fitness. I think it's just got to be how he's looking to play with Palmer. Is it working? Is he better with a Fletcher? I don't know. We're just trying to find that hopeful when you fall on a little combination. Do you know what I mean? We can't start Fletcher from the start. He's been insanely good in the past month, but we just can't start him from the start. We probably could. Let's try it. I don't know, but I just think that we're still searching for him and hoping that he will come good. And I don't know how long you can sort of wait for that. Do you know what I mean? And it's a really tricky one because he's brilliant. He's a really good player, and hopefully, if it doesn't happen this season, then he'll have a full pre-season next season and hit the ground running.
Can I have a quick round robin on Mullin, Andy, before you ask your next question? He's got 2 goals at the moment in 23 games. Do you think he will get double figures by the end of the season? And I'll ask everybody that.
Yes,
I do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
become good.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but there you go. That's unanimous because the belief is there. I think for him, I don't think it's a lack of belief.
No.
There's a combination of things, and nobody really had much service yesterday, to be honest. But it'll come good.
It's really difficult when you're a striker and you're not scoring goals because you feel you're letting the team down and you're not producing what you're paid to do, and it becomes a problem in your mind. Now I think Paul Mullin's got this super confidence. He looks like he's got this super confidence and belief in his own ability. You just don't know what's going on in the back of his mind. And it does just take a goal or some sort of something to get you going. And I thought that goal and the Barnsley performance in the second half, I thought, well, here we go. We've got that lad back again. The one that's really leads the line and is the focal point for our strikers and our front attacking play. And it just didn't happen. And listen, I thought we weren't great at all on against Peterborough and we sort of got away with one, but still he can still run hard and make those runs in behind, and he just didn't, and aggressive with the runs, if that makes sense, and it just didn't seem like he was doing that.
What we need to do is we need to boot him into an advertising hoarding just before he comes on.
Yeah.
I do sort of wonder if the dynamic between him and Palmer has changed. I do think Palmer has actually got slower. I know he's got more fitness, but he's played a lot of games. It's energy sapping the last couple of weeks, and I do sort of think the dynamic has changed a little bit. And I'm wondering if Mullin's still trying to work out the best way to play with Palmer now. And I do think he played a lot better with Fletcher. And I want to come on to Fletcher now, because Rees was absolutely vicious in his criticism of Steven Fletcher against Bristol Rovers. Said he cost us the game, probably cost us promotion. Said that he's a disgrace, should cut his top nap off. But all said and done, I didn't think he had a great game against Bristol Rovers, but since then, he has done the job that we bring him. He's in the squad to do this, to come on for the last 20 minutes when defenders are tiring and find the space and use the experience and the technique that maybe others don't have at this level. What makes him so good?
Well, his knowledge, his experience, his first touch, his fitness for his age. He can still get up. He's really brilliant in the air, as we've seen from a couple of the goals. And his movement, it's just movement. He knows where to be, when to be on the pitch, and you could see him just from the goal on Saturday that he just pulls off at the back post, and he knows that Ollie Rathbone has to try and go past him, which he does really, really well, by the way. Puts a cross up at the back post, and he's the one that can go and attack it. He gets up earlier than the defender, and he heads it in. I don't know if you've seen Mo Farl as well when it goes in. He's got his hands on his head like that, because he just can't believe he's done it again. Do you know what I mean? Because he's done it a couple of times, hasn't he, Mo Farl? He's like looking at Fletcher going, how's he keep doing this? But it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And he's the one that's in form. And you sort of, when he does come on, everybody in that stadium got a big lift, didn't they? They're calling for him when he's warming up, because we know how good a player is and what sort of form, because he is, at the moment, carrying us along a little bit, because we're not scoring enough goals at all. And so when he does come on, it gives everybody around the place a lift. It will give the other lad, Mullin, maybe, who's playing with him, or Lee, who however has been, a little lift with them as well, and the rest of the team. And he just carries us to a cheeky win. And I think he's fantastic. And we missed him when he was out injured. You know, just changing those games that were needed when we were struggling a little bit, maybe drawing or not winning.
Let's go on to Farl. What do you make of him? Because I can see a lot of raw potential there. I sort of think if we're 12th, you give that guy 5 games. You start him 5 times, because let's see what he can really do. I don't think we can, just because we're going for a promotion. But do you see a player there? And if we do go up to the Championship, is he a player that has the quality to sort of cement himself up there? Because that's another jumping level again, isn't it?
I really like the way that he looks. He looks like he's got really happy feet. He looks like he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He reminds me of Paolo One-Chop, if you remember him.
I thought you were going to say Hector Sam.
Oh, blimey, no way. But, can go past people, can hold it up. He's got a bit of everything to his game, I spoke to Chomp about him as well, and he said at times he's unplayable in training. It's just consistency. And I don't know if he knows how good he could be. But along with that, you have to run around and you have to work hard and you have to really put yourself about if you're like that. And I think he's got to learn off Fletcher and Palmer and Mullin and go, right, well, I need to run around as well. Football's just a simple thing to me. I need to do the hard yards as well to get in the team for one and stay in it for another. And I think that's where his downfall will be, is does he want to work hard enough to stay in the team? Because he's got all the ability in the world if he wants to.
Right, I'm going to do another straw poll here. Right, Rees, would you bring Sam Dalby back? Same question to all of you. I'll go to Andy at the end.
No.
Tim?
No.
Liam?
Yes, but perhaps only if to extract some money while we still can.
Oh, break him. I like it. Yeah. Having a great season now, Sam. Come and sit on our bench and we'll try and
Well, no. I meant as in, sort of try and spur Dundee United into forking him out for January, making some return on, outlay, because we haven't really done that. Well, we haven't really needed to do that, but if you've got the opportunity as a business, I think you should.
Andy, he's an informed striker in a pretty good league. Why on earth are we not bringing him back? Having an informed striker is is gold dust, isn't it? It's a sort of thing that if we saw him and didn't own him, we'd be there. Oh, can we spend 2 million on this fella?
Mm.
You know, it's
So I think it's a brilliant dilemma at the moment that Phil Parkinson's in, because you're potentially got a player that could take you up because he's in that good a form. When you're in that sort of form, you can play at sort of any level if you're creating chances, even though he is playing in slightly different system and stuff up there. But saying that, I think it was Tim that maybe put something on about it's important that what he wants to do as well. You know, he took the decision to go.
Does he get a say?
He was made to go.
Does he get a say though?
Huh?
I mean, when Tim put that on, I thought, does he get a say? Because if you get recalled, you get recalled, don't you?
You do get recalled, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be happy coming back.
Right. Okay.
And if you come back and then you're on the bench because Ollie Palmer's starting because Gaffer doesn't trust you to head the ball out of both boxes, it's one of those again, isn't it? He's sort of like a bit deflated. He was worth nothing in August for us. We were going to have to leave him on a free at the end of the season if he continued the way that he was going. He is now worth something to the football club. Now, whether you take your money now and say, right, we'll buy him now, and we can cut our losses and let's put that towards a striker. I think the key thing is, if we brought him back and he scored a few goals, is he going to lead our line in the Championship and keep us in the Championship if we go up? And I'm not so sure that is the case. I think he could come back and score a few goals, but I don't know if he could go and do the same in the Championship, in the league above. And so if we're going to go, and what I believe they could do in January is go and get a big striker, a big player that takes us a little bit higher, maybe a goal scoring big one if they're out there. Do you know what I mean? And to give Ollie Palmer a bit of a breather, then I think that you're looking at somebody that can play in the Championship, and that's where they'll be looking rather than maybe a Sam Dolby. But I think Sam Dolby's done himself absolutely no harm whatsoever by going and scoring a shed load of goals.
Yeah, I think he'll have a great say in things considering he's out of contract in the summer. So no doubt there'll be that dialogue there. Park will be keeping an eye on him. But I put a poll out a few days ago about it. Like over 1,000 people voted, and 45% of people said don't bring him back. We've got new signings coming in. 31% said yes. So that's kind of like not a million miles away. Yeah, some people are saying, you know, if you were offered the Scottish Premier League's top scorer, how would you feel about it? I think if we were still in League Two, we'd be jumping at the chance. I think because we're kind of pushing on for the Championship and where we are, I think kind of gives us that kind of leeway and that option to go, well, you know, we're not necessarily aiming for better, but we are, like Andy just said, we're looking for people who can maybe do what we've done, which was we're recruiting to go up another level and sustain it at that level. So we need to be looking for somebody that can hold there in the Championship. And there's a lot of debate as to the level of the SPL and where it's at. And none of us can truly say what that is, I don't think, unless you're an expert in Scottish football. So look, I think whatever happens, and I said this on the social thing, whatever happens, Sam Darby will have the good grace of Wrexham fans, and it'll be, if he leaves, he'll go with everybody's best wishes because of what he's done in helping us get out of the National League.
Yeah. Is it not more with him though, and why there's some reluctance? Because less about the quality of the SPL, but more perhaps where does he go? So you bring Dolby back in our system now. Who are you dropping? You drop in.
Yeah, is he Palmer or is he Mullin?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure what you're doing. Presumably, you put him up top with Mullin, and I'm not convinced that is the answer to our problems at the moment.
Sometimes you find a happy place, don't you? And he's not going to want to come back and play second fiddle to Mullin, despite Mullin's own issues at the moment. He'll want to be the main man. He is that main man. He plays in a different system. He's the focal point of that team, especially up top. I think their manager sold it when he came up. He said, we think you're suited to the style of the game in Scotland, whatever that may be, but clearly it differs to what it is down here. So, and he's proven everybody wrong, isn't he? Was it 10 in 17 or whatever it is now? 11 in 18, I can't remember, but double figures leading the way, and long may it continue.
Right. We got 10 strikers. Oh, we got 10 or we got 8. Let's just go through a few of the others. But Varson, Waters, Bickerstaff, can you see them ever playing for Wrexham again?
No, unfortunately not. I think their time's probably done. I like Bickerstaff. I thought he did all right at the start of that last season, but he just seems to have gone on loan and not really hit the ground running like Dolby has, not taken that opportunity. Bob Varson was just a stopgap for me, and not one that he got himself fit. I think it suited both parties, and I can't see him staying on. And Waters, yeah, I think that probably that horse has bolted as well. So that's time for him. The one we need back, I think, is Jack Marriott. You know, I think we've really missed him since his injury. He was the one that was on fire. He was the one that was playing really well, linking play with Palmer, and their movement was really good and really lively. And so I think we just need to get him back on the grass and see where we are. But I know that the club will definitely be stalking the market and try and find somebody to bring in that will again take the lift the group and take them on again, because I think we're desperate need of some more goals.
I think he could be back, couldn't he? He could be back for that Shrewsbury game. Genuinely get the feeling he could be back for it. You know, 2 big games coming up league-wise, so, and a nice little break for him to get involved. We may see him at Port Vale on Tuesday. I don't know.
No, I don't know the situation, whether he's been on the grass or whether he's just been doing his own stuff, or whether he's been joining in training. But yeah, the sooner he's back involved and training, then the better, because he's not been doing the laps, you know, before the game with the other players that you'd normally see if he's quite close. He's just been watching that. So hopefully we can get him back out there as soon as, and he can really kick on then.
Right, everyone's fed up of listening to my voice. There's a few other questions for Andy. Reece, do you want to jump in the hot seat?
Yeah, of course. Let's. Well, are there any names in the mix? I mean, what you mentioned before was a big lad who can score. I mean, is that what we're really after? Do you think is someone probably to partner Mullin, you know, so. And Marriott coming back in? And is there anyone that you've got your eye on?
No, I don't think so. I think obviously there's a few names. I think Bamford is ridiculous. I think that's way out of our price range. And this is why, you know, you mentioned Hardy. He fits more in our price bracket than somebody like Bamford, because, you know, if we have to go and spend $1 million, $2 million, $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever it is on a player like that, you've still got to pay those wages. And Bamford's in the 70 grand a week mark. And we haven't got that as rich as we think we are, and we are quite rich. Like, come on, and we're spending money. I don't think we're in that bracket quite yet. And so that's why Ryan Hardy, I feel, would be somebody that would fit that pay bracket. He'd be all right. His wages wouldn't be ridiculously high for somebody that's played in the Championship and scored goals in the Championship in a team that was doing all right last year. They struggled this year, like you said. So I think somebody like that they will have their eyes on. You know, was it Matt Smith, the one from Sheffield Wednesday? You know, somebody like that. I think that's the type that they'll look for, that's either playing in the Championship now or has done and scored goals. Because we just need more goals in our team, I think. But we're not really that creative in our open play anyway. We get it wide and chuck it in the box. That's probably the way we score or set pieces, and we need to be a little bit brighter with the way that we play, hopefully this second half of the season, to try and conjure up a few more opportunities in open play.
Sorry to come back in again, but do you think that is because Lee's been used more up front and then been injured? I do sort of feel that the balance in midfield is a little bit different with Lee in there breaking the lines and as Tim said earlier, picking up the scraps on the box and getting us moving. Is that another position you think he might look at there, an attacking mid to push Lee?
Maybe. He always surprises with a couple, doesn't he, Phil Parkinson? I liked it when Lee played up top, especially the first game. He dropped in, and I thought we played some really good stuff. It looked like we had changed a little bit from just smashing it on top of Palmer and getting second balls. We looked like we were going to play a little bit through Matty James, and he was going to be able to play into the pockets where Lee was picking up, and we were getting our wing backs up higher and wider because we're keeping the ball for a little bit longer. And I quite like that. But then Lee obviously had this little niggle for the past couple. I thought he looked brilliant at Bristol Rovers for half an hour, scored a great goal, and then had to sadly come off. So maybe that is a little bit more where he wants to go with the formation. I don't know. But maybe that was just searching because we haven't got those two strikers that are being prolific at the moment.
Well, on formation, Andy, we had a comment from Rob Daw, one of our listeners, who says, "I'd really like to see us going to a back four, so we can include both Lee and Mulls in the starting 11. We might then need a double six, Gorgeous George to partner Dobson to support the back." Does that appeal to you at all? Is that a realistic prospect, or do you not think it works?
You'll never change. You won't change it.
It is unfortunately great idea, but I just can't see Parky ever changing from the three that he's got. It suited him so well for the past 4 years and his whole 1,000 games pretty much a lot of the time. So that's the way he plays. That's how he does it. I think O'Connell in the middle is great. I think Max has been fantastic. I think Lewis Brunt's been great, as so has Thomas. I think they've all at the back have done their jobs really, really well. So I don't why you would change that. Ryan Barnett's been player of the season so far for us. He's flying up and down the wing. So I don't see why we should change from that. And we're second, third in the league. Come on, let's not really panic too much. I would just like us to, when we get into certain areas, be a little bit more, find a few more relationships between our players, little 1-2s around the edge of the box, just try and be a bit braver and try and unlock defences that way rather than out wide and cross it in. I think there's too much in a cap.
It is mad, isn't it? That like start of this season, we were all saying, "Oh, we'd be delighted with mid-table. It'd be good to have a playoff push." And we're here moaning about the fact that we're third and moaning about like little intricate things about the formation we'd change. So definitely some perspective is needed at times. And I think a good time to talk about the second half of the season and our 2025 predictions. So we'll do this relatively quick fire, and I'll go around everyone. And we'll start off with you, Moz, on question 1, which is, who do you think at the end of the season will be the player of the season?
Well, I think Max will be right up there with a shout. I think he's been good, but he's been so much more consistent than he was and has been. He's just in there. He just doesn't make that many mistakes. A few goals have come down his side recently, but I'm not sure that's completely on him. I think there's only one winner at the moment, and it looks like it's Ollie Rathbone for me. I just think he has been absolutely sensational since he's come into the team, and I think he leads by example. He runs, and we know he's got energy, but with energy you can just leg it around. He's got real quality with the ball as well. You saw it on Saturday in the last minute. He can still do that with the amount of work that he's put in, but he covers so much ground, he breaks up so much play, and he infuses people around him. He sort of puts people to shame around him because he's running around so much. You're like, oh, I've got to run now, because if I don't run, I'm going to look stupid next to this guy. And so you start to go, and then it's just infectious as he goes. And by all accounts, he's like that off the pitch as well. He's really infectious around the place as well. You want to sit next to him if he's got a spare seat next to him, because he's just bubbly character. And that is just brilliant to have in your changing room.
Awesome. Liam, thoughts?
I'll go for Rathbone as well, just because he's a wonderful little ankle biter. So a man after my own heart.
Excellent. Andy?
I'll probably think Barnett. I just think the attack, he's going to be more and more important to us as we try and sort of grind these sort of very agricultural performances and be a bit more expansive. And I think when the pitches get better, I think you'll see more from Ryan. I think he's had his quiet spell as well. So I'd like him to go away, recharge, and come back strong, because he knows he can do it, and he knows he can do it in this league. He's also started. He's got that bank of the first really good half a season behind him. I think he can go on.
Well, he was probably our player of the season the first 10 games, wasn't he? He was almost unplayable. So it'd be great to see him rediscover that sort of form in the second half of the season. Tim, who will be our player of the season?
Arthur.
Oh,
he's got 9 clean sheets in 15. He's back, and he's vital into what we do and how we play. And I just love to see a goalkeeper win it, instead of the usual attackers who take all the plaudits. So I'm Arthur. He'll be the first one since, I think, Rob Lainton probably won it, and I just think it's what he deserves. And if he doesn't win that, he'll probably win young player if he qualifies for it. Was he 22, 23 now? So yeah, yeah, he's just consistently good. And I think, like I said earlier, it just gives that reassurance overall and just gives everybody a big lift. And knowing that if they do breach that defence, they've got to get past him.
Yeah. Next question will be, who will be top scorer? Gilbo, do you want to come in on this one first?
If Marriott comes back, it's probably a bit too much of a stretch for him to be top scorer. I don't think any of our top scorers will get any more than 10 or 11. And if we think Mullin's going to get double figures, you probably wouldn't bet against him. But I don't know. It seems silly to go Mullin, considering
Max.
He's
on 5.
You can't go up with your defender being your top scorer, can you? Can you? That's not going to happen. A striker needs to go on a run. An attacking player needs to go on a run. So I think he'll either be Mullin or Marriott.
Okay. Other Andy?
Well, Fletcher looks like he could keep nudging them in, if he's on the way that he is. But I'd probably go with Elliot Lee. Hopefully you can get him back and firing, whether he's from midfield or up front. I don't really mind, but I thought he looked sharp. Like I said, at Bristol Rovers, it looked like he just got a little bit of verve back about his game again. And let's hope that we can get him firing again. And his corners have been a lot better than we've suggested in recent years. So hopefully maybe a few assists along the way as well.
Yeah, or maybe score from a few more corners as well. Tim, who's going to be top scorer?
I really would love it to be Marriott. I really would. I think it depends on the severity of his injury. Now, how sort of quickly he's recovered from that, and how long it's going to take him to get up and running. Hopefully, it's not going to be like a sort of Mullin syndrome, if you like, where it's just not quite worked out. So, I'd love it to be Marriott, but that's my head saying. I think my heart is going to go with. I'm going to go with Andy as well and say Lee. He's got 6 at the moment. It's not going to take him too long to get to double figures and finish that season strongly. So, yeah, I think it'd be Elliot Lee.
Liam?
Another vote for Lee from me, just because I think for a player that has had criticism at times this season, he still finds those quality moments, whether it's getting a goal or getting an assist. So I could see him finishing on double figures, and in the current state of play, I think that gives you a good chance of being top scorer.
Shall we move on? I will say Mullin. I'll buck the trend. He's gonna rediscover his form in February. What needs to improve the most? Let's start off with, let's pick your brains first, Moza. What needs to improve the most for us to have a chance of finishing in that top 2?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's a great deal. We've been involved with so many tight games where it's been really in the balance, and we've managed to come out on top by hook or by crook. We've not necessarily played really well, but the balance has been flipped in our favour from either a key moment or an individual brilliance. Can we keep that going for the rest of the season to get into those top 2 places? I don't know. I think we have to be a little bit more dominant with the ball and keep the ball a little bit longer. And I know that we've defended really well from our shape, and we don't necessarily like the ball a lot, and we've won games from that. But I would certainly say that if we can dominate the ball a little bit more, Matty James coming in has helped with that.
Yeah,
we'll be able to get our wing backs up higher and maintain a bit more pressure, and then maybe we do get a few more goals. But I would like to dominate the ball a bit more. But we definitely need to score a few more goals in open play.
Tim, what needs to improve?
Oh, tough one. I mean, we haven't really been super sparkling from the set piece, have we? I mean, free kicks and so on and so forth have just been a little bit iffy. I can't remember. When was the last time we scored with a free kick? Oh, exactly. Exactly. I know we're not getting many penalties, but yeah, I mean, when we do get the free kicks, we're not really making the most of them. So I think maybe the set piece could be looked at a little bit and marginally improved, and that'll help us tenfold. Just to nudge ahead if we get the opportunity. We're not scoring from open play. Make your set pieces count. So I think that would probably be mine.
Liam?
I think for me, what needs to improve is it might just be signing one real difference maker in this January transfer window, just getting those players who can take us up to that next level, like we've seen Phil Parkinson do on so many occasions. But it's also a player who can come in and make that difference immediately, a bit similar to how Ollie Palmer did when we signed him in the January, and he came in, he made an instant impact. Like Andy says, I don't think it'll be necessarily a Patrick Bamford, but a player from the Championship who's capable of coming in and scoring goals for us could make a massive difference.
Andy, what most needs to improve other than signing 3 strikers?
Away results, basically.
Okay.
I mean, starting with the slops. I think we need to. Our home form is so good; it gets us out of jail. But we can't keep going away and only picking up a point when we play actually quite well, which we did at Bristol Rovers. So yeah, I think. But that feeds into all your other points: being more dominant, having an X factor player. All that feeds into that.
2 questions coming up. So I don't want to answer the last one with the previous one. So just tell me who will be the top 4. Top 3, go top 3, but don't tell me who in what order. Andy, who's going to be in the top 3 end of the season? Andy Gilpin.
I think we will. I think I can't look past Wickham at the moment, but it would be interesting if they lose a few players or even the manager.
You've been saying for weeks that they're going to fall away.
No, I mean, I haven't. I said it would always be interesting to see if they could keep their players fit at the club, and that goes for the same as the manager. But they're grinding out. They're grinding out wins. They're. All right. I can't see them. And obviously Birmingham. Look, I would have to add Huddersfield into that mix as well.
Okay,
sorry.
Fine. Well, give me a top 4 then. Andy Morrell.
Yeah, same.
Okay, Liam.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. He had to add Huddersfield in because I was going to be like, oh, they'll be my dark horse to come in the top 3. But no, Andy Gilpin ruined it. Ruined my life.
Tim?
I think as is, I've just realised that Wickham play Huddersfield in a game in hand on Tuesday. Huge game that from a Wrexham perspective as well. So I just think the gap there is pretty clear. So I think, be quite happy with top 3, more than happy. If we can get second, wonderful. So yeah, as is, Birmingham, Wickham and Wrexham.
I'm going to say, I'm going to be a little bit contrarian and say keeping an eye on Reading because they've been on a good run. They had a terrible start to the season and they're suddenly on 41 points, seem to have sorted themselves out. So who knows? But yeah, I think we'll be top 4 as well. And lastly, the big question, one word, are we going to go up? Moza? for people listening, he is recoiling in pain.
Oh God, I don't want to say no. It's going to be so hard. I just can't see us taking one of the 2 top automatics. So it's playoffs, and then it's a bit of a lottery.
Yeah,
I know we've been good, and our home form, you can rely on that at the moment. I don't know. It's in the gods then, isn't it, in the playoffs? So,
but you think we'll be playoffs, basically?
Yeah.
Liam?
I'm one of these superstitious people, so you'll never get me to say yes because I feel like it'll jinx it. I'll go maybe.
Oh, great. Thanks so much.
Politician's answer.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it 3 in a row. Why not us? And I just think about all the playoff disasters we've had, we're owed some automatics. So let's have a third. We've got I reckon we'll beat Birmingham, and we still got to go to Wickham yet. So yeah, I reckon we'll do it.
Class. Love it. Andy Gilpin?
Yeah, I think the key is we're away at Wickham, we're away at Huddersfield, and I can't, at the moment, unless we get in a big signing, I can't see us winning those games. And I think that's what you'll need to win, one of those to get automatic. So I think the playoffs, I think we might eke through to the final, but I just see us losing at Wembley. I really do.
Not Wembley.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do. And in many ways, look, to go so close would be great, but the club does need to catch up in a lot of ways. And maybe what I don't want us to do is go to the Championship too early and we come back down again. Which could even happen because it's incredibly tough up there. So I say we miss out in the playoffs.
Okay, I'm going to go with playoffs. Similar to Moz, I have no idea then, but I think we'll be playoffs as well. And I think it's important to say as well, isn't it, that whatever happens, I don't think we're going to be in trouble in terms of another season in League One is absolutely fine. It's been an enjoyable experience and it gives us another couple of transfer windows to build that Championship squad as well, which would be great. And if we go up, amazing. Right, let's turn our attention to a game that no one cares about on Tuesday night, away at Port Vale. Andy, are you going to be there?
I'm not. No, I'm coaching, and my voice off the back of the weekend and coming back from illness. I'm going to do another couple of weeks if I can to try and keep it fresh.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's do predictions. I mean, he's still resting people, isn't he? Obviously for Tuesday, he's not going to be risking anyone. Is it going to be a fully second team, Tim? Do you think?
He's alluded that he's going to rest a lot of the first team, especially with the busy festive period we had, was just relentless. There's a lot of jaded bodies in there, especially the first half of Barnsley. You could see that. So I think he will change a lot. We'll probably see the likes of Revan or Ruvan, as some commentators keep calling him. I don't know what the deal is there. I think he'll start in Mendy's. I think there'll be loads of changes, and yeah, I think Port Vale will probably beat us. To be honest, I think they'll win 3-1, and I'll be delighted if we do lose it. Not bothered. Sorry.
Great. Andy, what's your prediction, Andy Gilpin?
I think he'll change a lot, and I think they'll come to a point where this competition will mean more to our opposition than it will to us. So we'll come up against the first choice side pretty soon, and it might even be Port Vale, because they will be thinking, right, I know they're going for promotion as well, but for a club like that to get to Wembley can really help them next season. So I think we will lose. I think it will be 2-0, and I think Port Vale will more or less go full strength, and we'll have to see if our second choice can match them, but I don't think we can.
Liam?
It's a one-legged match, isn't it? Am I right in saying that?
But everyone's got one leg?
Yeah. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, followed by one of those penalty shootouts that goes on for 10 years, and we ultimately go out.
That's it. Oh, I was going to do that. Exactly the same. We're going to lose a penalty shootout. Moza, I'll leave the last word of the podcast to our special guest. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to go pens as well. 0-0 ring. Everybody, doesn't really want to be there. Both teams, they've had a little bit of a blip in their push towards promotion anyway. They lost a few games before the game on Tuesday. So, I don't think anybody will be that fussed about it. But we'll go through on pens. Let's do that.
Yeah. Come on, love it. We've got a nice mixture there. But yeah, that's it for this week's Fearless in Devotion. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Who knows? This time next year, in our start of 2026 episode, we could be in the Championship, in the playoffs for the Premier League. Who knows?
Jesus. Playing Everton and Man United. Crazy times.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? I should have wished everyone a Happy New Year at the beginning, but I'll wish it now. Happy New Year, everyone, and looking forward to the rest of the season. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Cheers. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.